Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to another video here on Watts Wildlife. Today guys, we are going to be going about 2 hours from here to the Kentucky Reptile Zoo down in Slade, Kentucky. This is supposedly the largest collection of venomous snakes in the world. I've been down here a couple of different times in the past, but we're going to go down there and pretty much do just a little tour video of the it's a pretty small little reptile park. Just do a tour video of the park and bring it to you guys here on the channel. And I'll go ahead and warn you that some of the audio that I have from our guide that took us around on the tour, some of the audio from, just his information that he was telling us about the different species of snakes that we saw and such, some of it's going to be good, but some of it is definitely going to be bad. That's because we were all required to wear masks, including the guide, because of the pandemic going on right now. And so because of that, at certain times when I was standing kind of far away from him and maybe the mic was facing away from him and stuff like that, plus the mask, the audio quality just kind of got shot and you can't really tell what he's saying very well. So there will be some parts where I'm doing some voiceover audio myself with some information about the snakes or maybe that certain area of the zoo or something of that nature. But regardless, we're going to head on down there and the footage will start as soon as we start the tour. We'll probably start, if I had to guess based off last tours, down in the area where they keep their large constrictors, and then we'll go around to venomous snakes, alligators, and different things like that they also have in the park. So it should be pretty exciting. This is the largest collection, like I said, of venomous snakes in the world. A lot of those are not on display. On display, we probably will see about 100, 150, but a lot of those are actually in the barns that they do venom extractions in, and that's pretty much how they fund the park, is with venom extractions, because venom is very expensive. So they do lots of venom extractions there. That is what most of these snakes are used for. I believe there's actually 1,600 snakes, they said, on the property, but like I said, only about 150 to 200 are on display, just because a lot of those snakes are duplicate, repeat species. They have multiple of the same species, so they can do lots of extractions and get lots of venom. But that's enough talking, so let's go ahead and head on in to this tour of the Kentucky Reptile Zoo right now.
This is our Giants exhibit. So everyone in here is non-venomous. Most of them are pretty big. These two are our yellow anacondas. They're the smaller of the two species of anaconda.
So beginning with our voiceover here, you can see that this is a reticulated python, the longest species of snake on the planet, and this is a Burmese python. This is an albino one. They're often bred in the pet trade to be albino, or different other color morphs is what they call them. Just a sort of, it's designer snakes. It's just like some dogs are bred selectively to look a certain way. Same sort of thing. So this was an albino one that was bred in the pet trade. Now moving on to turtles.
In here we have two New Guinea side-neck turtles. So this is a species that's native to northern Australia and Papua New Guinea. They use that really long neck that they have to be able to kind of stretch out and grab stuff. Very similar to the American softshell turtle we have here. You can see they're super streamlined because unlike those guys, they're actually doing a lot of swimming and moving around, and they can go really, really fast. There's some videos that I've seen of these guys who are doing research on them where they like kind of tuck their legs in and shoot down a stream. And this is actually a male and a female in here. Right here is one of our eastern box turtles. So this is one of the few species of turtle that's primarily terrestrial. He lives almost entirely on land. And the reason they're called box turtles is they actually have a mechanism on the bottom of their carapace, which is the bottom of the shell, where they actually can close it all the way. In the back, our gopher tortoise. This species is also from the American South. The gopher tortoise is critically endangered right now. Right back there, this is Artie. He is our marginated tortoise. So this species is native to Greece, Italy, the Balkan states, and a couple of other Mediterranean islands. And these guys are really popular in the pet trade because they're super cool with humans, and they also have that really pretty shell pattern. We're going to check out our North American exhibit.
So now moving into the North American section, you can see here is a Western diamondback rattlesnake, pretty iconic, the first real venomous snake that you're going to think of when you think of North American snakes. So really cool to see that. And then down right here is just a plain black pine snake. Not anything venomous or anything like that, pretty harmless. Up here you can see a timber rattlesnake, something that we have locally here in Kentucky where I live. Very beautiful snakes, really like the way that timber rattlesnakes look. And you can see the range map and all that on the little cards in the top corner of the exhibit. Here's a northern copperhead, also a native snake that we get locally here in Kentucky. Very common here in Kentucky. Here's the western cottonmouth. These are also sometimes in Kentucky, but they're a lot more rare. And here is the eastern diamondback rattlesnake, largest venomous snake in the U.S. and largest rattlesnake. Very, very dangerous, and mostly in Florida. Here's another copperhead. I believe this was a southern copperhead, and they had a couple of different subspecies or localities of copperheads in here, probably 5 or 6, and you will kind of see those throughout the video. And moving on here to our next snake, this is a rattlesnake species that I'm kind of unfamiliar with, never really heard of it, but they are down in Central America. And then right here, you can see the Arizona black rattlesnake, which was a pretty unique and cool looking rattlesnake. Here's another copperhead locality, that is the Trans-Pecos copperhead. Very cool. I really like the banding on that one. And there you can see the milk snake, another copperhead locality. This was the broad-banded copperhead. And then the last one here for our North American house was the lyre snake, and now we'll move on to the American alligator.
That is Wonka. He is our American alligator. And Wonka, I forget if he was from another zoo that couldn't care for him or if he was a pet that was had illegally. One of the two.
The wind picked up here and the audio ended up being pretty bad, but essentially this is an American alligator, pretty common in the southern U.S. They can grow very large, up to 15, 16 feet, and can be very, very dangerous. And like I said, it's extremely common down in Florida and Georgia and Louisiana, those areas. But they are really cool animals, very intelligent. Recent studies have found that they are as intelligent as dogs, which is very cool. And definitely crocodilians are my favorite reptiles, just like this guy. It's just amazing. Now moving into the tropical house, you can see here is the black mamba, a very famous snake and a very feared snake. These guys are extremely dangerous, very toxic, very fast, very big, and pretty aggressive, or at least defensive, whatever you want to call it. They are definitely not a snake to be messed with. One of the very most dangerous animals on the planet for sure. And a bite from one of these without anti-venom is definitely going to kill you. It's 100% fatality rate, so definitely don't want to get bit. Here is a West African green mamba, really my favorite elapid there. That the pattern on those guys is just so cool. That really cool scale pattern just looks awesome. Over here you can see the East African green mamba, a little bit different. The scales aren't as pronounced, but still a cool species. All mambas are very, very dangerous and very cool, but just very dangerous. Here's another look at that black mamba cruising around the exhibit. They grow much larger than this one, but this is a average sized black mamba here, and just really an incredible animal. And you can see that this is a very active snake, a lot more active than the vipers we looked at, because it's typical of elapids. They're a lot more, they move around a lot more. And if you don't know the difference between vipers and elapids, essentially mambas, cobras, stuff like that are elapids. Stuff like this that you're looking at right now, puff adder, rattlesnakes, copperheads, stuff like that are vipers. And vipers typically have a hemotoxic venom which breaks down tissue and causes necrosis, stuff like that. Elapids have a neurotoxic, which is going to shut down your nervous system. So there's a quick little thing on vipers and elapids, but here you can see another elapid here, the banded cobra that we just showed very quickly there. And then here's another viper. This is the 100 pace viper, very dangerous snake. It's called the 100 pace viper because in the Vietnam War, the soldiers came back and said that anyone who was bitten by this viper died within 100 paces. So not a viper to be messed with. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but still very dangerous snake there. Right here you can see one of the coolest vipers on the planet, the Mengching viper. Definitely my favorite venomous snake here, and these are very, very rare. Only about 500 in the wild. They're found in a super small area on the Meng Mountains in China, and they were only discovered in 2003. So very recently found species, extremely rare and hard to find, and just so cool. Here's the Gaboon viper. Love the pattern on these guys. They grow huge. They are from Africa. This is a West African locality. And then up here is a rhino viper, another very beautiful viper from Africa. Here is the inland taipan, the most venomous snake on the planet. I know it doesn't look like it, but yes, that is the most toxic. As far as venom toxicity, that is the most dangerous snake on the planet, although no one has ever died from a bite because they're not very aggressive. Here is the inland taipan's cousin, the coastal taipan, which is a lot more dangerous because it's almost as toxic and is a lot more defensive, and will bite, is a lot more likely to bite than an inland taipan. So very dangerous snake there. Here is an eyelash viper. This is like a sort of a red and green phase, and then here is a yellow phase eyelash viper. This is a green tree python, the only non-venomous snake in the tropical building. Still a pretty cool snake. And then these next few snakes are some vipers that I don't exactly know the name of and I'm not familiar with, from South America. So those are pretty cool too. Up next we have another shot of the Gaboon viper here. Just such a cool snake, really unique pattern. Very camouflaged in its natural habitat. I mean, if you look at some pictures, you can't even tell they're there sometimes. You can see he's moving his head around there. They're very large-bodied snakes, as you can see. And then another shot of the rhino viper and the coastal taipan here. You can see where they are in Australia along the coast there. Obviously, the name is coastal. Here's a pretty large African viper that I'm not exactly sure the name of. And here is a Russell's viper, which is one of the most dangerous vipers in the world just because they live in rural areas and kill lots and lots of people. The kill count on them is probably one of the highest of any species of snake in the world. There was another look at your 100 pacer and your banded cobra. And then here is a Cape cobra, which is all curled up there, and you can't really see its head, but still a unique and cool species. Banded cobra again, it was very active today. It was moving around a lot, so as you can see, I got a pretty good amount of footage of it. And then here is another cobra species, and then again the West African green mamba. One last look because they are a really cool snake species. And then we're moving on here to the king cobra, the largest venomous snake on the planet. These guys can grow up to 14 or 15 feet and can stand up to about a third of their actual length. So if you're imagining like a 15-foot king cobra, that thing is standing at 5 feet high when it hoods up. So it can stand at eye level with some humans, which is pretty scary. But these are very dangerous snakes, very large snakes, and obviously a very well-known and feared snake in the world. But they're also extremely intelligent. They're one of the most intelligent snake species. As you can see here, he's smelling all kinds of different things, moving around his enclosure, exploring, and overall this is just a very cool snake to look at, and just really powerful. And in this video you can't tell how large this snake really is. The guide actually put his hand up next to the cobra's head while it was very close to the glass, and his fist all balled up was just pretty much the exact same size as the cobra's head. So that should give you an idea of how large this snake is. I mean, that body there, you couldn't even wrap a hand around it. It's just a massive snake. It doesn't look like it in the video, like I said, but this is a massive cobra here. And technically king cobras aren't even cobras. They're in their own entirely different family, but because they're very similar to cobras, they have just been called a cobra. Scientifically, they are not identified under the Naja classification, which is what true cobras are under. They are under their own classification, that is Ophiophagus, I believe. And so technically they are actually not a cobra. And the reason for that is because they are snake eaters. They eat other cobras, other snakes, pythons. A lot of reticulated pythons are in the area where they live, so they eat those a lot. And so that is sort of part of why they're under that other classification, because Ophiophagus means snake eater. So that is why they're classified differently. But regardless, very incredible snake species, definitely one to be respected. And really cool to be able to see a king cobra of this size here at the Kentucky Reptile Zoo. So that is the king cobra, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to the monocled cobra, a very common species of cobra in the pet trade. Believe it or not, there are a lot of people that have venomous snakes in private collections in the US and around the world. So this is a common species within that community. And then here is the Indian cobra, and this is actually the last clip in the video from the zoo. So we're gonna go ahead now and do a little outro to close this video out. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you guys liked seeing all these different extremely exotic and venomous snakes that we got to see in this video. I definitely love going to the Kentucky Reptile Zoo and just seeing, it's a very unique collection. Normally if you go to like a large zoo, then you're mainly going to see these big ticket animals, you know, polar bears, lions, elephants, giraffes. But in a place like that where they're so specialized on reptiles, you really get to see some of the more rare species of venomous snakes and such, which I think is really cool, because when you go to these little smaller collections like that where it's specialized, you really get to see some of the more rare stuff, which is really something that I enjoy. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that tour, and like I said, that'll be all for this video, guys. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Please do not forget to share this video, like this video, and most importantly, subscribe so that you can be entered for that giveaway to go down to Florida and swim with manatees entirely for free. Thank you all for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.